Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. It looks like you're about to jump off the boat. That voice really caught me off guard. It wasn't so much that the voice was said in a hoarse and croaking manner, but that the person who said it probably had their voice box taken out. I just hadn't seen it. I thought someone would be here at this time of night. While I was at the ferry port that night, waiting to get on, I had looked around the ship to find the best spot on the deck to meet my needs. As soon as I got on, I made a beeline for it, getting more time as a foot rider than people driving their cars onto the roll-on/roll-off boat, which meant I could take over the bench seat on the deck right outside the back door. But then, there had been a never-ending line of people at first, milling around. But as the night went on, they brought drinks outside in the warm air to stand on the rail and watch the water go by as the engines pushed us from France to England over and over again. Around 10:30, I was sick of waiting for a break. So I went inside to pick out a seat that I could sleep for a few hours on a seat that sloped back. My watch's alarm was set for 4 a.m., but I was awake before that, so I didn't wake up the other people who were sleeping. I took my rather heavy pack on my back and made my way through the now empty companionways back to the door on the deck next to my choice spot. I also forgot to check the bench seat behind the door that I'd been sitting on back then. When I turned to face my accoster, my planned words of smug rejection didn't come out, and my lips stopped moving as her eyes looked right into mine. There was silence between us for a moment before I spoke. They looked away and shrugged. "Would you like to talk about it?" she asked, her words hurting to come out, like it hurt her to even talk, and I realized I really liked it. It was the first good offer I'd had all day. We did want to talk about it. When I moved toward her, that's when I noticed the face around those eyes. The way it was cut up was unbelievable. What a terrible sight. She had sores all over her body, and her left eye and upper lip were pulled toward her left cheek, and most of her hair was gone. She said, "It's okay, I'm not contagious. You are welcome to sit next to me." But I didn't catch anything. "I'm sorry," I said. "I meant not to look." She said, "I can handle the staring. It's when little kids run as fast as they can while screaming that they saw a scary monster." I said yes. With a desire to have children ever since we had been married but was now not likely to get married again, I could understand if someone had been. She snapped, "But you were going to tell me about your problems. Sit down, put your phone down, and talk." I told her Fiona and I had been married for 8 years, but that Fiona had always put her job ahead of being a mom. I always knew it was her choice, I told her, but I also thought that our marriage wasn't whole without kids. We were well off because we both made good money and didn't have any kids. We went there so often that we even bought a house there. When Fiona said last week that she didn't want to fly there, I told her we only lived a short way away from Gatwick Airport, and our house was only a taxi ride from St. Marriott Airport. It seemed crazy when she said she wanted to hike by sea. We had to drive all the way down to Seacombe and then back up to take the night boat to St. Marriott, which costs a ridiculous amount of money. I didn't even figure it out when she woke up sick in our house the next morning. I first thought she was sick from the sea, but when she got sick again this morning in our house, it didn't take a genius to find the cause. It was clear I was thrilled. Just about to run out and buy a bottle of champagne until Fiona spoke up and said the baby wasn't mine, but Jacques, the guy who lives next door to the villa. Her goal was to get a divorce so she could marry the father of her child. And I knew my life was over. "Is that all?" The woman didn't say a word as I told her my story of woe. With 3 strained words, she tore down my twisted logic. "Okay, Millions of other people have been through the same thing you just did. They might not be thrilled, but they don't look so sad. Anyway, instead of thinking about it, you should feel happy that you've gotten rid of a cheating partner without any trouble. You can live another life. Maybe have kids with someone else. But don't base all of your success in life besides having kids. There are lots of other fun things to do. I, for one, wish you had that option." The pause that followed her words grew longer as I thought about their importance, and I began to think outside the box I had built around myself in the morning. I took a step back and looked at her more intently than I had before. I just now thought about being nice. It was simple to understand why kids ran away screaming, and her face looked like something out of a horror movie. That being said, you might want to explain your journey. I looked down at the string around her wrist. Also, explain why you have a string around your wrist. The time had come for her to pause for a moment, then nod and say, "The string was there to keep me from dropping my bag." So she took her small bag and put it on its back before going in. She opened it up and threw the lid back. I could see 2 big rocks inside. "I believe the word is snap," she said. I was about to tell her she wasn't being so silly because her face wasn't even worse. And I could tell by the look in her eyes what a sweet person she was. She was in there. But maybe I had learned from the way she looked after me. It was better to listen than to judge. I told them that I thought it was your turn to tell me everything. She said yes. Everything is fair. Didn't I really ask for this? But her lips turned up in a funny way. I thought it was probably a smile to make what she said less angry. She said, "Like I said, you were lucky that your marriage ended so simply. He tried to kill me." What? I thought she might be crazy. Things like that didn't happen in real life. "He is now in jail, hurting someone very badly and several other different offenses. He left poison in a curry that he was supposed to leave out for me. It turned out to be a mix of 5 kinds of poison meant to kill rats. I was lucky that I could call an ambulance before I passed out. They were smart enough to bring the curry bowl back to the hospital because they thought it was just food poisoning. Yes, when it was looked into, and the cops were called. As soon as they interviewed Peter, he just fell down and told you everything. That was 3 years ago, though. My life has been terrible ever since. I've spent almost as much time in jail as in the hospital, but he'll be free soon, out of jail on parole in 4 years. I was the one who got the sentence. Almost every function in my body is broken. There are doctors who have now given me no more than 6 months to live. And an awful lot of pain from what they don't say. It sounds like 6 months as well." I didn't have much to say about any of that besides a weak, "God, that's terrible for you." He fought the divorce from jail, which made things even worse. He called me from his cell whenever he had the chance. I believe he hoped I would die before the end was reached. I had to accept a tiny lump sum payment in exchange for very high maintenance payments every month. If not, it would have to go to court for a long time. He'll do it if I die soon. He hasn't paid me much. So I was let out of the hospital. And I'm here. As soon as the thought hit me, I said, because if instead of dying in the hospital you were to leave for no reason, it could take years to find out you're lost and even longer to get you officially pronounced dead. During that time, he would pay alimony. Yes, exactly. It's true that I'm trying alternative treatments, but I've never put any trust in those. It's not allowed to go with you, but I'm going to try pretty hard. I told you that it might be poetic justice, but that doesn't change your point of view at all. The kids run away from you now that you're not in the hospital. It's loud. That has to be awful. She smiled at me again in a crooked way. That hasn't been the case at all, not so good lately. A mask has been on me. She looked down at her bag. I could see a dark brown wig in the bag. She reached out and grabbed it. Something flesh-colored was attached to the wig, but which looked like a lot more than just a face mask. She played with it in her hands, putting her right hand inside the mask to cover her lower face, and did some of it with her left arm. A face with wide-open eyes showed up, mouth with dark brown hair around the edges. She agreed, "It's done my ego a lot of good, and I've even pulled 1 or 2 guys with it for one last time." She tried to lighten the mood by saying, "I think the mask would fit you well." I thought, why not? It was much better to leave on a happy note. I smiled at her and looked at the mask. I told them I didn't think so, but I'm game if you'd like to try it. She smiled back. "Good job. Hold on. I have some gel in my bag that it'll be easier to slip over your head." It also stops sweating, and I can tell you that without it, the inside gets pretty wet very quickly. She dug around in her bag and pulled out a big, round plastic toilet paper and a tub. She got in and used a towel to scoop out a pink gel drop. She turned her head away. That's not really it. Since it's very thin, it's almost impossible to see before the mask. I took off my parka and put it on the seat next to me. I gave her a shy smile because I knew she was going to look at me very stupid when she put this mask on me if it did go on at all. Surprisingly, the cloth was very stretchy, and the gel made it slip over my skin without any trouble. For the time, it felt a little suffocating when I couldn't see or breathe, but she took care of that right away. Then she took my shirt and put more gel on my back and chest before letting me put my arms through the holes in the arms and slid the jacket part of the shirt down my chest. That's it. How do you feel? I gasped and looked down. Oh my God, everything seems real, but how does my face look? It doesn't look anything even close to that real. In fact, it looks pretty good. You should use the bathroom for women and take a look in the mirrors. I tried to get up, but she laughed and stopped me. I think you should get dressed right before you go in there. Yes, you're right. She took out a white bra from her bag, and after slipping my arms through it, I kindly held them out from under my shirt so she could feed the bra over them and then tie it at the back. She told me not to hurry as I went to put my arms back into my shirt. That sun top is a nice light blue color and will look great with those jeans you're wearing and also make your body look good. After 5 minutes, I was wearing the sundress and a pair of pale blue sneakers over a pair of socks that matched, and we switched my dark green anorak for her blue one that goes with it. I grabbed her blue purse from under my arm. She told me to take a good look at myself. There's a hairbrush in my bag for you to use in front of the mirror. Also, if you're feeling really brave, take a walk around the deck until someone can see you. After that, you'll see how real you look. I went to the bathroom slowly, even though I knew in my heart that I wasn't going to walk around the decks letting anyone look at me who could be nearby. As I came back out, I said, I got a whistle from someone on the deck. It felt like... When I saw that she wasn't there, my voice stopped. That went for both my anorak and my pack. Only her bag was left, which was now closed and put neatly in the corner between the seat and the wall. A rolled piece of paper was pushed back under the hand grip. This is my dearest friend, the letter started. I've not felt this close to anyone else in a very long time. But it wasn't until I found your passport in the pocket of your anorak that I knew your first name. As I talked to you, I saw where my plan of life and trick Peter into thinking I was still alive was weak. That happens a lot, right? In your thoughts, you figure something out right away, but you only understand the issues when you tell someone else about them. So, even though Peter might not understand for months or even years that I'm missing, as soon as someone looks into it, they'll find that this boat was the last place I was seen on a trip. There will be a record of getting on it, but after that, nothing. I'm not, in fact, certain if they keep track of papers as people enter the country. They would know I never left the ship if that was the case. In order that never happens, it's likely that Peter would figure out the truth and make a strong case in court to get all the money back from my estate he paid. That's why I need you to keep the mask on for a little while longer. You can go a lot longer if you want to. Please use my ID you find in my purse to get into the country. You'll see that I had the picture on it changed to show my fake face instead of my ugly real one, because I couldn't stand the thought of having to take off my mask as I went through passport check. You should use my card to buy a few things when you get to the country. Go back to the house I rented in Seacombe and stay there for a while. They were there for a while. I'm sure it will be nice to have a place to stay while you figure out what to do with your own marriage. Indeed, you are welcome to use my name for as long as you want. You can spend as much of Peter's money as you want. My only requirement is that, if the truth is ever found, which I don't think it will be, should be, you will do him the most financial harm. I can't make you play this part, but you might find it interesting. It is tough to get into the country without a passport, especially since I lied to you about the gel we used under the mask. The glue is really strong and sticks to the skin in a very strong way so that the sweat can't escape. In other words, it's not possible to take off the mask until the skin falls off in about 2 weeks. There is plenty of gel, though, if you want to keep going longer. There is more in the tub, and you can get it from the source you can find at my house. Interestingly enough, they also make gadgets to make men's twiddly bits look like something else for everyone to see like a woman. Thank you for your time, and good luck with your choice in the future. It was just an X next to her name. The person who checks passports must have felt lucky today because I pushed my small bag up to his desk on wheels. He opened my passport and looked at my picture. When he looked back at me, he felt bad about it because he knew I knew he had been seeing me. He told her, "Have a nice day." The only thing I did was smile at him. I felt like I had a lot of work to do on my voice before I took that chance. It would be hard to imitate someone even if their voice box was taken out. I still had a lot of time. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.